Hello and welcome to another episode of McCall Media TV, whereby myself, Angela McCall, in today's episode is going to be talking to you a little bit about some of the errors, shall we say, or the problems that I think exist when people use the Facebook boost button. So I'm going to dive right on into this in just a moment. But before I do, let me play my intro while I get myself set up. Okay, so we all know how quick and easy it is to use the Facebook boost button, but there are actually two different ways to advertise with Facebook. And in my honest opinion, I think one of them is there just purely to make money for Facebook, which is the boost button. And the other way is pretty much my favorite tool online for running paid advertising publications and campaigns for whatever it is that you are looking to do as a small business. So let's just quickly dive in and explain just a quick summary about what the boost button is and what the other option is. So the boost button, in my opinion, is basically there to act as like the lazy alternative for learning how to run a proper Facebook advertising campaign. It's something that actually it comes across as being very, very simple, but as a business doesn't actually do you a whole lot of good. And I'm going to dive into why that is over the next few minutes or so. But the other alternative is actually to run a proper designed, structured Facebook advertising campaign. And you can do that through the ads manager. Now, I've always known that as the power editor because that back in the day is where and how it used to be known. But you can go down the left hand side of your Facebook page when you've clicked on the home button and you see all your details. Down the left hand side there'll be the ads manager, and that's how you can find that service. But like all things, it's one of those things that, you know, just because you can pick up a hammer doesn't make you suddenly a carpenter. All skills within your business, doesn't matter whether it's accounting, admin, HR, all take a little bit of time and expertise to basically perfect. So this isn't about Facebook ad manager today, although that is the method that I would like you guys to start endorsing and thinking about. And there are loads of YouTube videos out there, and there are loads and loads of training courses, not always huge amounts of money as well. You can jump on things like Udemy and basically learn how to do that. But if you are going to run a Facebook advertising campaign, you want to make sure that it is doing absolutely everything it possibly can to work for you, and you know why it's working or not working, so that you can tweak and perfect. So let's just quickly summarize a little bit up on the boost button. Okay, so if you really must go down the boost button route, okay, the thing that you need to do and bear in mind is not to boost your post the moment you make it. Okay, the moment you make it, you've got no knowledge, no traction, no anything to know how organically or virally that post is going to operate for you. So the best advice that I can give you is to at least hold off 48 hours, look at the different stats on your posts and how they are performing. I've done a video recently with Chris London, who dived in and gave us lots of information about how to spot the organic growth of your Facebook engagement and on your posts. So I will put a link to that somewhere on this video. But essentially what you need to do is give your post about 48 hours life and basically see how it's performing on its own back and its own merit. And if you see one that is sort of a bit of a front runner, shall we say, that is the one that you decide that you want to boost because it's already performing a little bit on its own effort. What you want to do is just give it a little nudge, okay? And that is essentially why the boost button was designed. But like I said at the beginning of this video, the boost button doesn't actually really do you much good, and I'll explain that in the next moment, because essentially it's earning money for Facebook, and that's pretty much all that happens. Now, the reason that I am a big fan of the Facebook Ads Manager is because it gives you the ability to control absolutely every single influencing factor about that advert running. And I'm a bit of a control freak, and if I'm going to be putting my hard-earned cash behind something, I want to know absolutely everything about why that is working or failing for me, because if it's failing, I definitely don't want to repeat the same process or the same tactics on my next advert because it's not working for me. What a waste of money. But if it is working, I want to be able to dive deep and repeat that same strategy strategy time and time again on my future advertising campaigns. And the boost button doesn't give you that ability. Facebook's ads manager does, although that's not what the idea of today's video is all about. So let me just take a second just to really sort of explain the boost button and how it works. So you've got this post, and it's got a few extra sort of likes and engagements and comments on it than maybe some of your other posts really. And you think, actually, this might be a good one to boost. Okay. So what happens is you go along, you hit that big old blue button, and it gives you some options on screen, just to basic sort of what I call top level settings, as it were. So you can refine that post a little bit and the boost advertising campaign, and you have very, very light controls, shall we say, over how that campaign then operates. You can set your budget, you can set a little bit on your audience, the market, you know, some of the comments that you want to go with it around, or the blurb around it, and you've got very basic control. And then when you're happy, you think maybe £5 and you'll let that run. And what happens generally behind the scenes is that Facebook has basically take an educated guess on your behalf as to who to show that advert to. Now, there is lots of different things that obviously affect the popularity of an advert actually working or not. So what you've obviously got is the text in the advert, the visual image of the advert, the title of the advert, the call to action button in the advert. All of these things affect the success of an advert, not just who gets to see the advert, although that's what the Facebook boost button is all about controlling. So Facebook has now made this decision to send out your advert to, I don't know, XYZ audience. Okay. Now, you don't know who XYZ audience is because Facebook has made that decision for you. Okay, so let's just say everything goes really well. You've got the right image, the right title, the right text, the right call to action, and somehow Facebook manages to hit the nail on the head with that boost campaign and sends your advert out, and it seems to resonate with the right people. And you know, today you've got loads of interaction, loads of traction, and you're thinking, yeah, this boost button, Lark, this works. And then about a week from now, you have another post on your Facebook page that is not doing too bad, and you think, oh, it worked really well when I did that boost button, I'll do it again. But this time maybe something is not quite the same, so maybe the title or the image isn't quite reacting with your audience, or Facebook sends it out to a community that basically doesn't necessarily engage that well, and the boost button flops and the whole campaign is a bit of a disaster, and you've just wasted £5. Now, you might be sitting here thinking, oh, it's only a fiver, but if you do that maybe a couple of dozen times in the year or in the last few months, then what you're actually doing is throwing a lot of money at Facebook, and basically it's like a Russian roulette approach. It may work, but it also may not. And the chances of it not are probably higher than it doing successfully for you. So that is essentially how the Facebook boost button process works. It's all down to pretty much luck. Now, let's just flip this on its head a little bit and say, right, okay, we take that exact same post that you've done and it's got a couple of days worth of traction, and you think, oh, this is one that really seems to be doing quite well. Let's turn that one into an advert. And this time you take the process of thinking about the Facebook ads manager and actually structuring out that campaign a little bit more deeply and giving it a little bit more thought, whereby you strategically design your audience, you design you tweak and perfect the title a little bit, the call to action, and so on and so forth, and you put a little bit more detail and a little bit more thought into the whole process. And this time you run the advertising campaign and it seems to be doing quite well. What you can do now is you can tweak and test. Okay, because now you have the ability to control absolutely every single influencing factor inside that power editor or the ads manager campaign process, from the top level as to who sees it, to the actual advert structure itself, to the call of action. And the fact is, you can basically multiply that advert 2 or 3, 4 times over and actually test a different image in each of them and see which one is the one that's resonating better with your audience. And then when you know that, you work with that advert, and this time test the titles 4 or 5 different times over the advert. And what you're doing is a process of elimination. And as that elimination is more refined, more perfected, and more streamlined, what you're starting to do is build now a really well-oiled advertising campaign, a really well-oiled machine that's working really hard in your business, because you're fine-tuning the audience. And instead of having this boost button campaign, that's basically, and I'm really sorry, but this is the metaphor that I always use, and it's a bit of a harsh one, but it's essentially like a shotgun or a machine gun approach, where you basically go, and hopefully one person out there that you hit with your advertising campaign is the target that you're after. That is essentially, in my opinion, how the boost button process works. But when you go into the ads manager and you're diving deep into the strategy and you're tweaking and perfecting every single component, and you do this maybe over about 5 or 6 different iterations of different components of that advertising campaign, even down to the audience, instead of just saying men and women, maybe you streamline for just men, or instead of men from 20 to 60 years old, you streamline it down to men that are in their 20s, and then another one that's in their 30s, and another one that's in their 40s, and you see which audience group is engaging most with your posts and your adverts. When you do that kind of, what you're starting to do is work more away from the machine gun strategy approach down to the sniper rifle approach. And if you think what a sniper is designed to do, it is to take out one target, aim for that one person, and it's got to have such accuracy and precision that it can pick it out of a really big crowd. And that is how your Facebook advertising campaigns run. So to give it a quick summary right now, this is something that needs to be sort of done in over maybe a couple of hours. In fact, when I teach Facebook ad manager or power editor, as I used to know it, when I used to teach that, I used to do this over a weekend for a 2-day course, because there are so many different components involved with it. But basically, when you get to this kind of level, it doesn't matter if you put in like £5 or £50, you'll be able to control absolutely every single penny that is being spent on that advertising campaign. And of course, if it's working, you rinse and repeat. And if it doesn't work, you can abandon it and go on and do something else. And that is the power of advertising. And that, to me, is why Facebook is pretty much my favorite platform to do paid advertising on, because there are so many tools involved with the power editor that actually it has, and I'm a bit of a control freak, it has the most amount of sort of control and ability to tweak, and I dive deep into your audience analytics and you know, their avatars and who they could be and what they're going to drive and where they shop and all those kind of things, to really give you a lot of power. So it doesn't matter what business you're in, what industry you're in, you know, 97 or something percent now, I can't remember, it's ridiculously well up there in the 90s, of the Western world in an adult environment generally is on Facebook now. So your audience is there. It's just the way that you've got to find them. And if you leave that to luck, then you can't complain when it works and when it doesn't work. But if you want to take control, then you need to really get your head around the whole Facebook ad manager campaign process, which is what I help my clients do. So from a business perspective, from McCall Media Limited, I'm one of those people that work as an outsourced, or sort of like your in-house but outsourced marketing department. I can set up the campaigns, but I'm also there to handhold you and teach you. So if it's something that you actually want to take control over, you know, a couple of months from now, when you've actually kind of got your sort of feet under the table and you're comfortable with it, then that's what I'm about. It's not just about having to outsource to my business. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that you're happy moving forward. So if it means initially doing the work and then teaching you what I've done and why I've done it as we progress over the next few months, then that is cool with me. So that's it from me today. I'm just going to quickly dive on, because I saw a comment or two come up. Let's have a look. Sonia, Sonia, nice to see you again on my live stream. Thank you very much. She said she can't wait to hear this. So I think that might have just been posted just before I went live, but thank you very much indeed, Sonia. Okay, so if there is any other comments, I will just pause for a second. Nope. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So thank you very much for watching today. Do subscribe to my channel. As always, I'm live across all my different social media platforms. And that's it from me today. Thank you very much.